Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. We are just waiting. We'll just give everybody maybe another minute and then start. We just request that as you are joining, just keep yourself on mute. Once we start the session, we will have the chat open for you to type any questions. Oh, wow. Welcome, Peggy. That's so awesome. Yeah. So Peggy Lewis, we have I'm not sure, once we start, we'll talk about the Owl Palooza raffle we have ongoing. Peggy Lewis is one of the artists, she's a watercolor artist. So she joined our session today. So excited. Right, it's 7 o'clock. I still see a couple of have joined. But let's get started. It's 7 p.m. Thank you everyone for joining. My name is TJ. I am one of the board member for Ottawa, Friends of Ottawa National Wildlife Refuge. Joining me, I have Tara Bostatter, who is another board member with Friends. She is co-hosting the session with me. Amy, Director of Operations for Friends Group, is also on. And we have, after a couple of months of hiatus, we have an excellent session planned for you today. Lori Monska would be talking about the shuttle that she drives for the refuge. She will give us a virtual tour of the refuge, and she'll talk some of the spots that she goes to. And we have two upcoming wildlife drives, one on Sunday and then the next one Friday after Thanksgiving. So I'm pretty sure you'll be able to use that. But we'll start with, just some housekeeping. As you join in, please just keep yourself muted. You can post your questions in the chat. This is going to be an interactive session, but we'll let Lori finish her slide, talk through her slide, and then Tara and we will prompt the questions for her. And then you can always, unmute yourself if you have a follow-up question or, if you have a different question. Friends Group, if you're not familiar with Friends Group, Friends of Ottawa National Wildlife Refuge is a 501c3. Our mission is to support the only national wildlife refuge in Ohio. We support the refuge by raising funds for land acquisition, conservation, providing internship programs through the refuge. And also we have started scholarship for high school students in our area. So a lot of things that we do goes back, like any donations that you make, they all go back to the refuge. And we'll paste a couple of pages for you, which gives you more information on the refuge. But without taking more time, I welcome Lori Monska. Lori Monska is a volunteer extraordinaire for Friends Group. She moved here from Columbus as she retired, and she has been, if you've seen our Facebook page, she has been writing these excellent articles, tidbits about the refuge, wildlife, plants in general. She's an excellent baker. We enjoy her cookies at our different events. But more than that, she's a volunteer who is there every weekend, Friday through Sunday. She drives the shuttle. If you ever have been on a shuttle with her, just type a thumbs up in the chat. Just want to make sure if this chat is working for you. So the refuge you enjoy with her in person, she will be attempting the same through a virtual webinar here so that, we can learn more about the refuge, where to go, what to look for. So Lori, handing it over to you. I know you are sharing your screen. I just want everybody to be on mute and then we can start. Yeah.
Well, thank you, TJ. I appreciate that. And I welcome everyone. So I hope you enjoy kind of the little virtual puddle shuttle tour I'm about to give you. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. And I will give you the caveat that I haven't done a presentation for about 8 years since I retired.
You'll do great. Yeah.
All right. First, I just want to, this map is available at the visitor center, and this is just kind of covers the main complex. So right here, you got the hiking trail, the visitor center, and the hiking trails here. They share a small area of connection right here. And this is all the wildlife drive here. And then there's some little satellite properties around. So if you do not have this map, I highly recommend that you stop in at the visitor center and get that. I actually have a couple in my vehicle, and I mark down some of my spots that I see animals routinely, either on the trail or on the drive also. So if you don't have that, I highly recommend that you guys get one of those maps. And I'm always looking for a moose. I have to get my moose dig in there. So that's my passion. Ducks and moose are my passion. I'm always looking for them. I'll be the first one to find a moose if one's ever out there. So now what I've created, a lot of people don't realize there is a lot of information on both the Friends of Ottawa Facebook or the Friends of Ottawa website and also the Ottawa National Wildlife website. This little cheat sheet on the left, whoops. Is one I created. There's different ways to get to the interactive maps that is on the Friends of Ottawa website. And that gives you some little ideas. And that's a great map that everyone should learn about so that they can learn the different areas around Ottawa and the satellite units. But taking time to understand everything that's on the map with the events calendar and all the different conservation projects they're working on for the refuge and things, that website's a great resource. So that's my little cheat sheet I made up for you. And the other one is, the caveat is that while we're out enjoying some of these areas right now, is that we do have some closures that we need to be careful of. And Ottawa is really good about letting us know when those closures are and putting, closures, signs out there. But some of the areas right now have limited access for us. But once hunting season over, there's still plenty of areas, for us to go explore. But there's also some other areas we can go. So this is just a caveat, but please check out both those websites for information. Now, this is another little cheat sheet. This is one of the ones I marked up for you here. Now, if I was taking you out on a trail right now, you're probably looking at us like, where we're going to go. So right here, all these little pink areas are some of the spots that I like to see different wildlife and things. So the pink is mainly for birds. The black here, those are for reptiles, for turtles and snakes. The orange here is an observation deck. That's right up here. That's a great observation deck for looking at birds out in these two areas. And these little stars are for eagle nests. And then also, with the exception of this one down here in the South Woods, that's because there's great horned owls out there in the South Woods for us. There's also great horned owls in the North Woods. All right. And then variety of birds all through the spring and summer. You get the indigo buntings, you get the goldfinches. You never know who's going to show up when and everything. You get black-capped chickadees. You can find these along the entrance into Ottawa, at the beginning of the hiking trails and Auto Drive, and along Krause Road. And then also, many people are still learning that we have beavers at the refuge. And this one is a little baby I found earlier this year. And here's the parent that was with him. So always be on the lookout. You can usually get telltale signs of beavers. Usually after about 9:30, you don't see them, but there is a chance you could see them later in the day. But you just never know when they're going to show up and everything. But usually you can find telltale signs of where they are. Hear the splashdown of the tail. See the little saplings that they've chewed down, things like that. Especially along the canal at the entrance to the hiking trails and Auto Drive. There's a little lodge there. And once the rest of the vegetation dies back, you'll be able to see all the saplings they've cut down, along with one tree that's down and another tree that may come down sometime this year or next year, depending on what the weather decides to do with it. So beavers are really a fun animal to find. Winter wren. Found this little guy along the Krause Road. The Northwoods has a couple different trails that go through it. If you take the front trail around the North Woods, you can actually loop it around to Crouse Road if you like to do bird watching for those birds that like the edge habitat. And you're going to find a few more hawks along this area also. But I found this little wren in there, which is I thought was a pretty cool sighting along that area. And then fox squirrels. I got to get my little digs in for fox squirrels. They're my favorite squirrel. You can find them. This is a little juvenile that was in the South Woods, but you can find them in the South Woods, the North Woods, along Crouse Road. And the reason you're going to find them in this area is because of the walnut and the hickory trees. You know, a lot of good nut trees in the woods out there for them. And also beautiful coloration in the fall. Then you can find these little guys, you know, throughout the refuge during the summer. You know, you got the little woolly bears, you got the eastern common butterfly, bullfrogs. You never know when you might have to help one get off the road. And I mean, you had the opportunity to see a high flying dragonfly. How often do you see a high flying act on a dragonfly? I thought that was a pretty fun one to find. Just going out on the hiking trails and exploring, you just always fun stuff. I actually found my first black-billed cuckoo out there, and this was on the west of the North Woods. That I found this guy just sitting there, let me blow off a few photos and everything. And you know, going out on these trails is just a sight to behold. This area is MS-8A. It's also the northwest view of the North Woods. This is, you know, when the lotus are in bloom. A little bit of change of season. It's kind of the same area, and you can see the nest, eagle nest there that's on MS-8A. And then you get the fall coloration. Fall colors of the North and South Woods is just incredible. And it's just one of those reminders that the refuge is beautiful all through the seasons. Now I've got this one little spot that I just love, and turtles don't always cooperate, but I try to. But so this is a map turtle. A lot of people don't know what a map turtle is, but right here on this guy, you can see all his little yellow lines going through there. And I say his head just looks like a little road map going through there. Now, one of my favorite spots for finding these guys is in the canal that's on the west side of the North Woods, or just at the beginning of the hiking trails. There's a little bit of an observation deck along the canal there. And just north of that, there's a spot with some downed trees. And I can say that one time during the summer, I counted 18 map turtles in that area. Some of them, they're kind of bashful. They didn't stay on the logs very long, but they went down in the water, and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 here's all their little heads popping up. And just seeing all these little turtles, actually not little because they're pretty good size, seeing these guys was a pretty cool sight. So I'm always trying to find these guys. I never get tired of seeing map turtles. And then anywhere along the hiking trails, you never know who is going to show up. You got, you know, flycatchers and phoebes. You got different butterflies. You've got different dragonflies. And, you know, I actually found a spotted sandpiper out on the walking out on the lotus lily and the water lilies. So it's always when you're out on the hiking trails, you really need to look around because a lot of these little things popping up, and you get a variety of dragonflies, a variety of butterflies. And then you never know what you might see, that's for sure, because the eagle there is actually taking, that's over in MS 8A. He's over there. No, I was actually pool 2. He was grabbing vegetation material from the muskrat lodge there, and he's flying up to the eagle nest over there in MS 8A. So he's taking nesting material to line the nest with. Long Crane Creek, you never know who you might see. Here we got sandhill cranes that are taking flight. And then there's also, you know, you got a flock of pelicans there with some different shorebirds, mainly ring-billed gulls, but you got different ducks out there. So with the variation of the water level, you never know what you might see. And depending on the season, it varies. And it's really fun out there. It gives you makes you want to stop and look because you can't move very fast because someone could be behind you at the same time. And then also at the same time, out here along Crane Creek, during the summer is a good time to make sure you're checking the vegetation that's overhanging the water, because you get all these beautiful snakes out there. Ken's probably on here just drooling right now, I'm sure. But here's one of these beautiful little map turtles. But how often do you get to see snakes and turtles doing things like this in large numbers? I mean, I think both those snakes were in the same day. So it's not just for birds out on the hiking trails. It's for all wildlife. So here's another view of the eagle nest in MS-8A. So this nest was moved out here about 3 years ago. It's now about to be 4 years old. When the storms took this nest down, this pair used to have a nest over in the North Woods. So when the storm took it down, they moved out here. So we get to see it, a little bit better with the tree they chose for this one. And they had two chicks or two eaglets in there this year, so we can watch this nest out there. And then if we get closer out there on Crane Creek, that's if everyone knows with the wildlife drive, where the seasonal drive is usually closed off and everything, there's an eagle nest out in that area right there. During green out, it gets camouflaged in and we can't see it, but there it is right there in the center of that pile of trees there, this close-up view. And then when there's no leaves, there's that beautiful nest right there. So that's an old nest. That nest survived the storm several years ago. So that's a beautiful spot. And when you see this nest, you turn around and look behind you, and that's when you're going to see the other eagle nest on MS-8A. It's one of my favorite areas of the hiking trails because you can watch two eagle nests at the same time. So you've got eagles coming and going, when they're, building their nest. And there's already been some eagles working on their nest. I know of 4 different eagle nests that either I've seen or others have seen. So eagles are already doing some nesting season, even though they usually don't start working on their nest until December and January. But this is a fun area. You can watch 2 eagle nests. You can watch them when they're get up and change their turn the eggs. You can watch them after they hatch, when you can bring food up and everything. So you can see 2 eagle nests at the same time until green up hides that one on MS5 for us. So next time you're out on the hiking trail, I recommend that you highly stop and look and see that you can really see 2 eagle nests at the same time. And it's absolutely a great spot. And you never know who else might show up. Eagles, you never know anywhere around the refuge when eagles are going to show up. But we get some great views of them out on the hiking trails. And then with the Crane Creek and the estuary, depending on the water level, this was the first year I'd ever seen soft shell turtles in the estuary. So of course I had to put them in there a couple times. But you get sandtail cranes with a little bit of the low water. They'll be using the shoreline. And the turtles, see that smaller one compared to the larger one up in the upper right screen. And then up on the upper right screen, you got the painted and matte turtle. So there's a turtle palooza right there going on. And that was really cool to see all that. You can see this one with the jagged shell right there. That's a little telltale sign you got a map turtle there. And then you never know when a green turtle's or a green frog's gonna pop up somewhere. Ducks, I'm always looking for ducks. The more ducks, I don't care if it's just a mallard, but more ducks, the better for me. Right there, we got American widgeons and black duck. Over here, we have gadwalls. The gadwalls are over in pool 2A. Over here, we've got some more ducks taking flight over here in pool 2A. So ducks can be anywhere and everywhere. They blend in, especially this time of the year. They're a little flighty from, coming in from other areas for the duck hunting, but they also blend in with those lotus leaves. Those brown lotus leaves give us a little, they make us look like we're looking at ducks when we're not. But all of a sudden, there'll be a duck popping out. So ducks can be anywhere and everywhere along the in any of the marshes. And with the water level, this was taken about a month ago. Water level goes down when with the wind blowing the water out. It creates more of the mud flats for us. We got pintail ducks, dowitchers, and killdeer there. And then this was just taken last week. All of a sudden you've got 70 dunlins hanging around in the mud flat out in the Crane Creek. So shorebirds, they really like, they're moving through. They like to see some of that shorter area. So never underestimate what you might find out in the estuary area. There we go. During the spring, got gallinules running across the the little water lily leaves. How many people have actually seen them do anything like that? Got another eagle coming in. And of course, I've got to put another one in. There's those map turtles. There's those beautiful lines going down their necks. So variation of wildlife is always good. Estuary, well, that can be a sight for itself just being near it because it's such a beautiful area. The estuary is being created because you got two distinct freshwater coming together. You got Crane Creek and you've got Lake Erie coming together, and the waterfowl love this area. Got tumpter swans out there. Now, one thing I can tell you about the estuary this year, there was about 300 trumpeter swans out there, and that was all the immature ones this year. And I was watching them all through the season, and I didn't think about it till today. I should have pulled out the slide, so I late thought on that one. But I was out on the hiking trails when they all transitioned in late summer into fall, when they transitioned from the estuary into the marshes and the pools. They moved in so they could molt out their feathers, and the smaller marshes gave them better protection than being out in the open. And so anyone who was out on the hiking trails know that they were between pool 2A and 2B, and there was thousands of feathers all over the dike because it was just white feathers where they all molted everything out. And then after they all got their feathers, you could see that some of them had found their mates because they were old enough, and some of them were just bebopping around by themselves. But some of them moved back out into the Crane Creek, and some of them stayed in the marshes. So that was a really fun to watch, all those swans do that this summer. It's, you just never know who's going to be when and where. Pelicans, we never know when they're going to show up. They're almost as hard to find as an otter is sometimes. But from the pictures from last year, from when they showed up this year and last year, the end of October, beginning of November, you're got a pretty good chance, if they repeat themselves again, of when there's going to be a large population of pelicans in Ottawa. And I do know that there's still probably at least a couple hundred pelicans out in the hiking trail areas right now still. And you never know what they might be doing out there, because pelicans, they do communal fishing, and you'll see them scoop their bill down. You'll see 2 or 3 of them down there scooping their bills together, and they're all scooping up fish. And they'll herd all the fish together and gather them all up that way. It's not always individual. And that's one of the main differences you can see between a white pelican and a brown pelican, is because of the way they eat. Brown pelicans, if you ever seen them in Florida, they dive, where the white pelicans scoop. And it's pretty cool when you've got this many pelicans. You're guaranteed that you're going to be seeing some scooping behavior with them also. But you also never know what ducks are going to be around. Right there in that picture is Canada geese, blue-winged teal, mallards. So, it's just a wetland, a wild community out there. And this is from last year when we had about, what did we say, TJ, around 400 to 500 of them out there last year when they were all flying over the trails.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it was an incredible sight to witness when we saw that.
Lori, we don't have any questions in the chat yet, but we do have, like people have enjoyed having the shuttle ride with you. So, but no questions have come in yet. Yeah, but
Okay.
request anybody has any questions. One thing I have, before we maybe give you a little pause, the shuttle ride, I did put the message, the EV shuttle ride, it starts at the visitor center. You have to register at the visitor center by calling in, right? And then typically 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. But there are other times we run the shuttle also, right?
If there's like we have had some people that have not been able to make it in at those times and have had a disability and have requested a spatial time, and so if there's someone they've contacted me to do a couple of them that have not been on one of those weekends. So yeah, one of the main reasons that the refuge got that was to help the people with disabilities, to help access them, give them access to the refuge and everything. So
Right.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it's great that we can do that and offer them that opportunity to get onto the trails and everything.
No,
So
you're right. Yeah, yeah. And I just wanted to add, the whole EV shuttle was funded by our generous donors, the members we have. A couple of years ago, we every year we do this innovation fund. So a couple of years ago, with generous donations from a lot of members here and other donors, we were able to fund one EV shuttle. But I also wanted everybody to know we have innovation funds that runs every year, and this is an exciting news. I'm not sure if that has been shared with everybody yet. I have permission to share, so I'm just sharing. We have, and I'm going to post a link for the innovation fund. We do request, if you are thinking of donating to any charity, Ottawa Friends of Ottawa is on your higher list. We are going to have some cameras put in the refuge for some live streaming. So the innovation funds this year not only funds the internship program we have, the high school scholarship, the land acquisition, you would be able to watch some of the wildlife from your comfort of your home, through this innovation fund. So I just posted a link. It just every year we have a theme. That's the theme for this year. Yeah.
that's awesome. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we do actually have one question that come up from Canada. Could you talk about the areas that belong to Ottawa National Wildlife Refuge when you drive down the McGee Marsh Road, specifically around the BSPO?
Oh, I've got that coming up.
Okay.
I do have
Okay,
that. I do have that. I do have Woody's Roost in my program. So
perfect. Yeah.
yeah.
And there
And
was a
then
second question about otters from Tony. So I think you will talk about those also, right, in the next slides or so. Yeah.
where's a good spot to see them? It's with otters, they rarely show up at the same spot twice. I know it is possible to see them in the same place twice, but not, you may not see them a third time, or if they do, it's going to be months later. It used to be that I would only see them once every 6 months. Now it might be down to once every 3 to 4 months. So I'm getting better at being there, but there's no
Guarantee. Yeah.
guarantee where they're going to be sometimes and when. It's it's an awesome experience when you do see them. I can tell you that during the snow you can see their tracks all over the refuge, on the on the wildlife drive, on the hiking trails. They've got signs everywhere that they've been there. An otter can have a 25-mile range of territory.
Oh,
So I tend to have a tendency to think there might be a couple different families living around Ottawa, or there's just one family that's going everywhere. Because sometimes you'll see one, sometimes you'll see 3 or 4. But yeah, it's just Jeff is the one that sees them on the hiking trails. I know where he sees them on the hiking trail on the canal, on the north of or west of the North Woods. And all I do is see telltale signs that they were there. The day he saw them in the ice, I saw where they were on the ice. So it's just I'm going to say that the more you experience it is the better chance you're going to see them.
thank you, Lori. Yeah.
So you get this view. This is where Lake Erie is coming into the estuary out here. you can also see all those pelicans out there, but what's really nice is sometimes it will give you this view. So when the weather is great, you got that beautiful sun with no haze on the lake, you can actually see West Sister Island.
Wow.
And being able to see West Sister Island Lighthouse at the same time, I think is just an absolute crazy to think about, because that's 9 miles out from land. So
Yeah,
that's a really great spot that I really love showing off on a day when it's not hazy and you can see more than just West Sister Island out there.
it
So
looks
I
like
just think that's
yeah.
incredible to see the lighthouse from the hiking trails.
It looks like Photoshop, but I know what you're saying. Have seen both those days there where you see nothing, and then you see this one. It's amazing. Yeah.
I can tell you it's not
Yeah,
Photoshop
I know. Yeah.
because I was on anyone who was on the shuttle that day with me that I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it a couple different days.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I got excited. I was just like, anyone who's on the shuttle can tell you how excited I was to see it again.
Yeah.
See it the first time was good. Seeing it the second time was incredible. Deer, there's deer all around the hiking trails. They're a little secretive. You never know. This photo is from last year because this buck just stood there and watched me for a while. But sometimes when you don't see deer, you can see where they've been. This tree on the right is an antler rub. So they rub on different vegetation to take the velvet off of their antlers, but then they keep using it. There's a gland between their antlers that they mark their territory with. So he keeps rubbing on that to mark his territory so that the other bucks stay away from his area. But sometimes if you can't see deer, maybe you'll see where they've been. It's a little telltale sign. It's just like the tracks of otters in the snow. Yes, it's like, oh, I don't see them, but I know they were here. So sometimes when you can't see the wildlife, knowing that they're there and seeing a sign, it's kind of cool that's like, oh, someone's here. I just don't see them. And then eagles, like I said, you never know where they're going to show up and everything. But this guy, I've given some visitors some incredible view. You yourself, TJ, this male has let me drive underneath him several times. His mate won't stay. She only lets me get so close, and no matter how slow I go. And but this male allows me to let visitors get fairly close to get some incredible views and have an incredible experience with a natural beauty like this. And I know that many visitors have said that they've never seen an eagle, let alone that close.
Of course. Yeah.
So I really get a great thrill out of being able to share that experience with the visitors when he cooperates for us. And then the variety of birds, osprey, black-crowned night herons. These, are from different areas of Pool 2B. And for some reason, Pool 2B seems to be a good spot for a variation of wildlife and birds. Here's some more some birds. The eagle in the lower left with all those tree swallows, that was an experience last month on the hiking trails. There was a flock of about 200 plus tree swallows that had come down. They'd probably come down from Canada, and they were just incredible, vocalizing and flying everywhere. And this eagle decided he didn't like the shuttle, and this one moved down here. Didn't seem to mind about the swallows being there. So, here's this eagle in the middle of 200 swallows flying around. Hooded mergansers. I can't get enough of my ducks. So there's hooded mergansers that are in the refuge right now. And then, eagles landing on the muskrat lodges. They get that nesting material. They sit there and to walk, go down to the edge and get a drink. They go after the muskrats on their lodges. It's really they go down there low and get ready to go hunting for the ducks and things in there. Then again, variety of wildlife and birds. There's an osprey, you know, with the fish, buffleheads. That bufflehead was actually in the show pool, which was in front of the old office for Ottawa, which is now clubhouse housing. That little guy was standing there with several of them and just let me get an incredible photo. And you can see that beautiful iridescence on them. Snapping turtle. That canal coming along the estuary trail. Estuary trail is the one that starts at the trailhead parking and goes down to the beach at McGee. That's a great little trail in the spring. That canal, that's the largest. I don't know if you can get an idea of how big that snapping turtle was, but his shell was over 2 feet long, largest snapping turtle I'd ever seen. And I've seen some big ones at Ottawa. It was just incredible seeing that turtle. But that was in the canal right there next to the hiking trail and the estuary trail. And then, you know, there's Beaver Lodge out there on the hiking trails in Pool 2B. And there was swans that nested on it this summer. It was pretty cool to see that. I'm waiting to see if I get telltale signs. This is one beaver family I've never seen. All I do is see telltale signs. You know, even though I can't see them, I see signs that they're around someplace, and that, you know, that works for me. And then, of course, you know, you never get enough pelicans. I gotta show up the pelicans. And this is a nice little area I like to point out for everyone. So if everyone doesn't know, there's an observation deck. It's over on Pool 2C and in between MS 8B. That's a great little deck right there. You can sit there and watch because the tundra swans are in right now. Tundra swans have come in. They'll be here from you know, November to around the March area. They've come down from Canada for the season. So now we get to enjoy their beauty and listen to them. So when you pull into Ottawa and you get out of your car, you're going to know exactly where they are because the refuge is not silent anymore. The refuge won't be quiet until they leave. And it's sad to see them go. But you know, when they leave, that, you know, more fun stuff is coming to Ottawa. But you can sit here at this observation deck and you can get views of the South Woods because there is a lot of tundra swans in this marsh right now. There's also a lot of duck species in there, but also for the stuff, you know, the birds that are using 2C. A lot of waterfowl around there. So it's a great little, it's just a small hike from the hiking trail, you know, out to that deck. If you want just a short one to watch some birds and everything, that's a fun one I would recommend for a short walk to get a little respite if you need it. And then, you know, hike back. It's just a beautiful area. And, you know, cannot reiterate enough that Ottawa is beautiful in all the seasons with change of seasons, you know, with the color of the north and south woods, the color of the vegetation for the change of season. In the wintertime with all the snow that, you know, covers everything, you get beautiful white and water. Refuge is just an incredible sight all year round. Springtime and the spring flowers. It's also a great time if you're having trouble telling the tundra swans and the trumpeter swans apart. Great time to go out there because there's still some trumpeters around. The tundras are going to have a little bit of yellow right underneath their eyes, but you've also got a smaller head and a smaller neck on the bodies. But this is a great time to go out and experience them and just enjoy their natural beauty because they are fun. And their other nickname is called whistling swan because just like sandhill cranes, you know, they talk when they're flying. So do tundra swans. They talk in their sleep also, I think. So some of my favorite areas around the refuge, we got the South Woods. South Woods, I can tell you right now that just about everything everyone was seeing over at the boardwalk, if you don't want to go bumper birding and be elbow to elbow with everybody, just about everything they saw over there, I saw in the South Woods this year. Got blue-gray gnatcatchers, got the nighthawk, you know, you got the phoebes, got this beautiful little fox squirrel that dug himself a new home in a tree behind the Bob Hines Ranger Station. And with the pool back there, beautiful leopard frogs back there. So South Woods, a lot of trails that go through the South Woods. You can mix and match them. But there's a lot of great birds back there in the spring. Last winter, you could not walk out through those woods without probably seeing a good handful of red-headed woodpeckers. That place was loaded with red-headed woodpeckers last winter, mature and immature, and they were loaded along with flickers and downy woodpeckers. It was a phenomenal experience, and I know others had noticed that also. All right, Woody's Roost. Woody's Roost is over across from the visitor center at McGee Marsh, and this is an underlooked trail that it's unfortunately it's only a seasonal trail, but you know, once that I'm over there as soon as that trail opens in the spring. I think it's around April 15th or something. I have to double check that date. But golden crown kinglets, ruby crown kinglets. Over there is where I saw my first melanistic garter snake at. Beautiful area over there. Flickers are over there. I've seen them over there chasing bumblebees. I've seen deer over there. Lots of duck species over in Woody's Roost. And that's a really fun one to go. I just park at the visitor center and walk across, or you can park at the trailhead parking and bring the partnership trail across to McGee and walk across to it. So there's two ways to get to Woody's Roost, but that's one for anyone who likes birds that I highly recommend you put that one on your list to visit if you haven't visited it. I was quite surprised. I took my first trip around it a couple years ago, and I was shocked by the beauty and being able to get. That's the first time I was able to get photographs of the golden crown kinglets, and they were just putting on a heck of a show the time I was out there. So it's a great area. I recommend for you. All right, Stange Prairie, beautiful area out there. Whether you're visiting it from the Stange Road or from Crouch Road, it's a beautiful spot for songbirds, spring, summer. This is the area I've gotten the some different sparrows in. Dick Cecils are out there. Just beautiful view. There's been an immature red-tailed hawk the past 2 years, so there's a red-tailed hawk nest nearby that the immatures come over here and go hunting in. And throughout the year, there's also you know, a tree swallow nesting out there, so they got nest boxes out there for tree swallow. So it's a nice little area for birding. And there's also a lot of deer species out there. And there's also, you know, it's in between, this area is in between the refuge and the field. So birds, you know, like the sandhill cranes, the geese, the duck species that are going from the refuge out to the fields in the area to go feeding in the fields. They're flying in and out across Stange Prairie during the day, during the morning and the evening. So if you want to get some birds in flight, mornings and evenings for the birds that are transitioning between the fields and the refuge. You know, birds come into the refuge for the winter or for the water protection, you know, for the night, you know, instead of being out in the open. And I hope everyone got a chance to experience Grimm Prairie this year. The refuge staff has been working hard on reestablishing wildflowers and everything on Grimm Prairie, and it was just phenomenal color this year. Just absolutely beautiful. I actually released some butterflies, some monarch butterflies out there this fall, or I'm sorry, late summer when I had them. Black-eyed Susans, you know, more insects you and bugs that you can attract to an area, the more birds you're going to get into an area. And beautiful area. They had some I never got any good photos of them, but there's a lot of Dick Cecils out in Grimm Prairie. So that's another area that, and there's a nice little trail that goes through there. So that's another area that I recommend people. And there's also kestrels out there. Okay, Turtle Creek. This is an area, satellite area, that's just kind of across the road and over the hill from the refuge. Turtle Creek Island, an area you can actually go kayaking in this area. There's an eagle nest over there, not too far from the kayaking launch, but The eagles are usually around the water, but during spring migration, you can find some different birds migrating through there, and sometimes during the fall migration, you can find some different birds out here. Shorebirds, like some of that area when the water's low. So this is a fun little spot. If you'd like to go kayaking, I recommend this one. I like this one myself. And if there's any escapees from the hunt club across the road, sometimes you can find some pheasants out there.
Lori, just one question we have, from
Sure.
Ken. Ken is asking what's your number one favorite walking trail?
The entire refuge
Okay.
or the entire hike. I
If you're
mean,
50,
my absolute, if I had to pick, because I got my first passion is going to be ducks, and I know ducks like pool 2C. So if I could pick the west side of pool C, I could see both eagle nests. I could see the ducks on both sides, and pool, no, it's pool, 2B. Yeah, pool 2B. So if I was on the west side of pool 2B, I could see the ducks in pool 2C. I could see the eagle nests, both eagle nests, and I could see out in the estuary. So if I had to pick a spot, it would have to be that section between pool 2C and 2B, or I'm sorry, 2A and C.
Okay. And is that, just, for directionally challenge me, is that the one where you go towards that other parking lot and then just keep walking towards the
That is
lake?
the one. So when you come from the trailhead parking, if you come straight, and if you take any left turn, and then you take the first right, because it's the only way you can go there. Take any left turn, take a right, and go all the way out, almost all the way out to the estuary.
Oh, I see. So it's behind the visitor center as you go on the auto
It's
drive.
behind the visitor center. It's kind of, if you could see from the observation deck at the visitor center, you could see it, but because of the distance and the vegetation, you can't. It's basically the dike that's in between pool 2A and 2B. It's if you keep going straight into the estuary, you've gone too far, just back up.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Yep. But that's probably, I would have to say that could be my favorite area then, because I can see everything I would want to see, and just about everything I'd want to see in that spot. My first spot is ducks, but I love being able to watch two eagle nests at the same time, because that's just a crazy phenomenon, in my opinion, that you can watch two eagle nests that close together.
Yeah.
And knowing that Ottawa's got 10 eagle nests on its main complex, I just think that's just incredible.
Yeah. And I know exactly that the question, very timely question from Dot. Have you considered doing a Zoom meeting just on the ducks? You are not showing us many ducks. Yes, I think there is a session planned for November 30th. I know it talks about the federal duck stamp. But Lori, maybe that's a session that we can plan for the next quarter, right? In 2024. Maybe we can do one for ducks, right? Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's definitely on our list.
I could have filled this one up just with ducks myself. But I just wanted to show everyone the wide variety of wildlife that's out there. Because it's not just ducks, but yeah, I could have filled this up with just ducks.
Yeah.
And that's a conversation to be had, Teach.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of interest here, and I'm just posting a calendar of events link. It has a couple of upcoming sessions, one on November 30th, and then there's one on December 7th, done by 13 ABC's Ross Ellett on estimating bird migration paths. But the federal duck stamp is on November 30th. But definitely, Lori, maybe that's something, once you get a lot of more pictures of ducks this year, then maybe a session next year or just on ducks.
We'll take that under consideration.
All right, yeah.
All right. So let's see. Okay, here's one I really enjoy. Middle Toussaint unit. And it's not far from the Turtle Creek Island area, but it's got beautiful views back there. And the waterway out there with the waterfowl is a great little spot. I can see a lot of different ducks out there. There's also an eagle nest out. It's not, I don't think it's on refuge property, but it's not far. It's just across the river. But you know, there's eagles out there also, and it's just a great little area. And there's also some beavers in this area. And then there's also across the road. This property is in two different. It's across the road. But there's also a grassland area in the grassland area the past 2 winters. I don't know if it's over there yet. I haven't been over there yet this fall. But there's a northern harrier that hangs out in the grassland over at Middle Tucson the past 2 winters. So I need to go over there and see if he's over there yet. All right. A lot of people may not have heard of this one, but this is a fun one. One year I went to all the different satellite units just to check them all out. And I discovered this one, and this one is a fun one. Unfortunately, sometimes it's closed because of hunting season, but in the spring and the fall, summer, if you can get there before you get in the fall before the hunting season starts, it's beautiful out there with the tree color. But in the spring, I don't know, but there was quite a few turkey vultures back there this spring. I don't know if they were going to be nesting in the area, but I was surprised how many turkey vultures were back there. But I will say that it's not, there's a lot of garter snakes out there, not enough to be afraid of if you don't like snakes and everything, because I'm learning to appreciate snakes and everything. But there's a lot of snakes out in that area, and I find a lot of them out there, but not enough to be afraid of and everything. But you know, the reptiles out there. But this is a fun little area. It's a beautiful little area. But this is one I highly recommend that people try out sometime. And I will say that if it's a wet season, to make sure you put your hiking boots on or some rubber boots, because some of the trails do get water. But it's a fun little trail around Turkey Run. And Nell's Memorial, that is over by Catawba Island. And a lot of people don't know about this one. There's a kayaking launch out in this area. You can also kayak over at Middle Tucson. But Nell's Memorial is a fun little one with the waterway out there. There's also a storybook trail. There's a little library. There's a hiking trail, and it's got beautiful wildflowers in it also. There's eagles out there, and of course, little mallards. But this is a fun little area that I like sometimes. And it's not far from West Harbor, so you can visit 2 areas at the same. And I don't know exactly what it is, but I have discovered that these red-breasted mergansers love this spot. They were out there the past 2 years, 3 years. I have discovered they're using this area, and they're there by the hundreds, if not thousands. And if you want to see some red-breasted mergansers and doing some of their courtship rituals and everything, bundle up and go out. And what this spot does get really windy. You can tell from the waves there. I've never been over there with red-breasted mergansers when it's calm, but these red-breasted mergansers put on one, excuse my French, but a hell of a show out there. They'll all float across to one side of the waterway, and then all of a sudden you'll see them all pick up and scutter across to the other side, and it looks like they're all taking off, but all they're doing is running to the other side of the waterway, and then eventually they'll float back across, and then they'll repeat that, you know, after they float, you know, from one side to the other. But their rituals that they put on out there to display to the females, just that vast number of them, it's just an incredible. And if you like ducks, this is one duck that you've got to see them when they're doing these rituals out there. And also at West Harbor, there is another little library out there too. But these two are fairly close together, so those are fun little ones to go and check out. And then Marinewood is actually not far from Turkey Run, and it's got a little hiking trail through. That's actually a spring photo of it one year that I took. There's actually a little trail that goes through that little area, and that's a great area for songbirds in the spring. And also, I think some other birds were spotted during the summer season out there also. So that's a fun little one to check out and experience sometime also. Then, you know, the view of wildlife, those are tundra swans that are in flight there. Never get enough of the eagles there. And even though we're at the end of my slides, this is actually a sunrise from the hiking trails. And I've been wanting this view for a while, so I might try to get a different one, but I sunrise out on the, out in Ottawa is just awesome. Sunsets are pretty cool also. And then just to reiterate, can't get enough time on the websites to get the information for the Friends of Ottawa or the Ottawa page. They both a lot of good information, but I really would like people to get to that interactive map so they can find all the satellite stations, satellite units, and learn what all Ottawa has to offer everywhere. Because if you can't get to the drive, well, maybe there's a satellite unit closer or something. But Ottawa, the refuge is beautiful all through the seasons. You never know who's going to show up and everything. It's I just love that spot. It's my Ohio happy place. So
That's great. And
questions?
Yeah, no questions have come in yet. But we will include this slide also, when we send the recording out, Lori, we'll add this slide as well.
Okay.
Yeah, just, I'm open, it's open for questions. Okay, there's a question that came from Amy. How did you become interested in wildlife conservation?
I have spent my life in wildlife, you might as well say. I retired from the Columbus Zoo after 32 years. So wildlife has been my life, as you can say. And, besides working at the zoo, and watching my ducks and everything, I've just expanded from watching ducks all the time, because I don't tell people I'm a bird watcher, I'm a duck watcher. And now everything else is, that goes with it. I am becoming more of a bird watcher, but not quite. I still have my ducks first, but it just started. It's always just expanded from my love of wildlife, working with wildlife, and expanded from ducks. And just to be able to, for everyone needs to appreciate our natural environment. And the more that people can understand our wildlife and how they interact with the nature and everything, they'll learn that we need our natural environments to keep our variety of wildlife and everything. And so it's all just grown from a passion of everything that we need to protect our wildlife and the vegetation and habitats that they need.
Another question just came up. Are the Zoom presentations available on our ONW website later? Yes, they are. And we'll also send anybody who registers, we send them a link as well. Right. Any other questions? I'm not seeing any other questions. Tara, anything I missed?
I appreciate everyone tuning in.
There is one other question. It says, are they allowed to hunt the ducks in all areas of the refuge?
No, only in certain areas.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's see. Oh, well, actually, I'm looking at it right here. The waterfowl hunts are right here listed on the hunt schedule on this last slide. So the hike, not on the hiking trails, but just on the main. So they can do where these roost. So right here is where the wild hunts are. So that's why I put this slide in here to help us all.
Right. I think and there was a subsequent question to it. Where is the main campus, right? Main unit. What is the odd one? The main unit is one where the visitor center is there, right on Route 2 in Oak Harbor.
Yeah, because here
Yeah.
for the waterfowl hunts, it specifically says that. Whoops, what did I go? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Well, let me go back to my slide here. Where'd it go? Hit that button too fast, didn't I? Okay. My main screen is hidden here.
It's okay. Yeah, right there.
There it is. So hiking trail area is open during the waterfowl hunt. So they're only hunting out in the main amount of kind of like the auto drive area.
Very good. Yeah. No, a lot of thanks, Lori. It was an excellent session. I know.
Tony's
not
got
all.
a question on here. I just saw
Okay.
him pop in.
Okay. How late?
The shuttle tours are going to go as long as we can, weather dependent. So that's what we're going to aim for. So just depends on weather and all that. So we're going to keep going on the Friday, Saturday, and Sundays, depending on hunting seasons and stuff. Because I know they're closed. There's no shuttle tours this Saturday, but it just depends on the weather. So we're going to keep them going.
There was another question from Kelly. What's your favorite duck and why?
Favorite? I don't have just one. I mean, the buffleheads, those males are beautiful. The females are beautiful. Shovelers, that big old fat bill they have. The teals with the beautiful heads and the beautiful wings. I mean, I could be happy with mallards. People think I'm crazy, but I can be happy with mallards. Pintails with that beautiful chestnut red head and that pointed tail. And I mean, it's hard to ID the female duck sometimes, but even the female pintails, you can spot them. Black ducks with that beautiful kind of that chocolate brown coloration of black ducks. You don't see many of them sometimes, but when you do find one, you see it, and it's pretty cool. So I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna say every duck, because even a lot of people think gadwalls are ugly, but I think they're a beautiful little duck.
Yeah, I haven't found a duck that I don't like, like photography.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ruddy ducks.
Wow.
When the male's doing his little courtship ritual and his little head bobbing and that little tail sticking up.
Yeah, it's hard to pick one, Yeah, my favorite is wood duck, but I know pintail is
See, I didn't even think about wood ducks
just
now.
yeah. Oh, that's good. And Ken had a question: does anyone offer guided hikes on the walking trails?
Sometimes Ottawa does have some tours during the different seasons and everything. Usually they have announcements for that, but there's nothing specific and nothing scheduled.
Okay. Good.
Kenda, I'm going to have to defer that. I saw that myself, so I know they did a tree hike not that long ago, so I'm assuming that's where that addition came from. And I'm going to agree with you that that's a great addition. So Kenda's got a message in the chat about tree ID. So if you've been out to the refuge and notice there's some tags on some trees, so there's been some trees that have been marked, so it's ID on them, so you can tell what some of the trees are. So that's a great addition for some of it. That's Trevor's working on that. Okay, I was wondering if that's who had done that. So
that's awesome. Yeah. No, I think we're right on the time. Lori, thank you again. Excellent presentation, right? And thanks to everybody who was able to attend. Have a great Thanksgiving. We will see some of you on the trails this Sunday and then the Friday after Thanksgiving. Thanks, everyone. Thank you for the co-host and the attendees. Lori, thanks again. Wonderful session.
Well, I hope you enjoyed it.
Oh, it was fun. So much fun. Yeah.